What's up, everybody? It's your girl Jaded Diamonds here, back with another video. And what you see here is me. I have recorded the entire video with no audio. Okay, so I'm about to be doing a voiceover of everything I've explained or discussed here today. So I hope you guys enjoy. This is definitely accidental. My camera pushed a button. I pushed a button on accident and I had absolutely no clue. Okay, so yeah, here we go. We're gonna have to go along with it and just I have to just try my best, okay? So, in no particular order, these are the books that we're going to discuss, okay? So, the first book we have here is Winter in Sakcho by Elisa Shua Dusipin. And I was basically just saying, like, this was a quiet novel character study in a sense of a young woman living in Korea. It's musings on beauty standards and why possibly she is maneuvering through life in the way that she's maneuvering based on just everything around her. She's a young woman who's a receptionist at a bed and breakfast, and it's either Sakcho or Soko, and it's just quiet. It's very reflective. She's talking about just a lot of things that just basically make me knowledgeable about what it is to be Korean and a woman living somewhere where even your job is fixated or based on what you look like. What type of job you're going to get is based on what you look like, and how it's so common to go and get plastic surgery just to be better presented in the world. But all in all, it's a very forgettable novel. I will say that was definitely something that I discussed. It's extremely forgettable, but it was good in the moment. But I would have to reread it to be more specific. Next up, we have First Love by Gwendolyn Riley. These books were in no particular order. With First Love, I read it, I think, in February or March. It is about a woman named Neve and her husband Edwin and the tumultuous relationship that they have together. It's musings on being codependent and the things that you will accept because you are so dependent on your lover or your significant other for basic necessities in life, and you overlook red flags and you overlook things that you otherwise possibly wouldn't, and even that you didn't need them so much. It also talks about or reflects on maybe how her father treated her or the things that her father did, and how those quite literally allow her to handle Edwin the way that she handles Edwin. If I'm making any sense, he's not the best person ever, but they do have some good times together, as with any relationship. But he just isn't. He just isn't proper for her. Not in the least bit. He's a terrible person to her, especially towards the end. It's kind of reminiscent of in a way, just slightly in a way, if you think about Elena Ferrante's Days of Abandonment, they're kind of in a sense the same, like what it looks like when you are having to break up with someone or divorcing someone and the emotions centered around that. But it's not as literal, it's not as visceral, it's not as in-depth, but it was a good story and I liked it enough. I gave it a 4-star, 4.5-star, something like that. I don't remember, but I liked the book a lot. I really did. It was to still be short, it gave me more. It gave me enough as it relates, or as opposed to Winter and Soko. So I liked it. Here we have one of my favorites. It is What Are You Going Through by Sigrid Nunez. And if you haven't already, you should probably watch my little short that I did on this novel. I gave insight to a few quotes in the novel that really stood out to me, and then my overall opinion of just where the book was going or what Sigrid Nunez was possibly trying to convey to us. But this story follows a older woman who has a friend who has been diagnosed for a second time with cancer, and this time she has understood that it is terminal and that she is going to die. And so it just goes through like the motions of everything. I was speaking on the fact that grief is of course an extreme theme in this novel, but more specifically, it can help someone who is grieving or going through grieving or experiencing a loss or about to experience a loss. And it could be like a reference to you in a sense, to where it'll validate the feelings that you're feeling on the inside, because it not only speaks to grief as in death, but the loss of a significant other as far as divorcing is concerned, and how that could possibly make you feel, or the loss of, or how a cat might experience the loss of being ripped away from your mom and having to go off to this newfound land, this new home, in hopes that you're treated equally as good as you felt with your mom as like top kitten or whatever. And just everything in between. It was beautifully written. It was very well positioned. It was more so the tone of the novel just made me feel like I was speaking to my grandmother or an older aunt who's giving me her experiences on life in hopes that it'll help me in my experiences with life. And there was a lot of intellectual parts in the novel that made you think, and I enjoyed it. And this is me moving into my commonplace notebook, where I have tons of notes on the books that I'm reading. I got this idea just in general from being a writer and just liking to write a lot. And if you care, that's a Lordstrom. This is a Lordstrom journal, if you care. So let's move on. All right, so here we're talking about another one of my absolute favorites. This is Gilead by Marilynne Robinson, and I do know that I went off on a minor tangent regarding this person that I subscribed to. His name is Charles, I think. I'm just not sure because that's not his channel name, but he did a video on reading Nobel Prize winning books and what he felt about them, and he ended up talking about Gilead last. He didn't say it was terrible, but he did say that he DNF'd it. And I left a comment because I think it was kind of meandering to him. So I left just a comment. It was really simple. I simply said that to read Gilead is like you have to be in a good place in life. So I basically just was like, you have to be at a specific place in your life to really appreciate all that Gilead has to offer you. And so when you're not there yet, it can kind of seem like it's just not this amazing book that people rant and rave about, but honestly it truly is. So first off, it's a 5-star read for me. Secondly, let's go ahead and talk about what it is. So Gilead is an open letter to a son from a father. So it does not follow a storyline at all until the end. It's just musings, segments, letters, vignettes, whatever you want to call it. Written from Pastor John Ames to his son. He's about 75 years old when he starts to write these letters to his son. And his son is about 7 years old. And so I think he's done around like 77 or 78 he finishes up. So let's just go into it. The idea of the letters are for him to express gratitude for being able to even become a father, no matter how late in life, and how he wants his son to know that if he could be there to watch him grow up and become a man, that would be the ultimate thing to him. Like, I want you to know, son, I love you. I want you to know these are the things that my father taught me, my grandfather taught me. I want you to know certain moments in our life together, I remember, even if they seem minute. I want you to understand that this is how a man is supposed to be. Hopefully you learn from this, and hopefully these letters will comfort you in my absence. It's just an amazing novel, and I have a few quotes. Honestly, in my commonplace book, Gilead has taken up the most space so far. So of course, it is definitely along the spiritual, religious ideologies, but you can take so much from it, even though some of us are, don't follow a specific religion. But we have certain. Here's a few. Oh, there's definitely a gut punch at the end of the story. If you can get towards the end, you can understand a lot of the reasoning behind why John Ames is the way that he is. And also, a few things that I took from the novel are understanding that even though pastors and reverends are looked up to, they are still sheep in this walk as well. And they grapple with so many things and so many insecurities also, that you have to just remember that people in leadership high up in the church or wherever, CEOs or anything, they are humans as well. They experience insecurities, they experience grief, they have minor feelings of inadequacy. They are just like us. Okay, you should understand that. Even going back to Sigrid Nunez is, what are you going through? Everybody is always going through something. One of my favorite quotes is, be kind, because you never know what somebody is going through. So, referencing some quotes from Gilead, one of my favorites is page 161, where it says, so to be forgiven is only half the gift. The other half is that we also can forgive, restore, and liberate, and therefore we can feel the will of God enacted through us, which is the great restoration of ourselves to ourselves. That's amazing. And another one is, grant me on earth what seems the best, till death and heaven reveal the rest. And then here on page, I read you guys an excerpt from page 52. I can't read it right now because I don't have the book with me, but that page brought me to tears. Page 52, paragraph 2, where he was basically telling his son, just know that above all else, me being able to become a father and watch your mother you has given me the most joy there is in life. And if I could just leave earth knowing and being able to see something like that, I'm forever grateful. So yeah, Gilead is that bitch. I love that book so much, and I'll definitely revisit it. 5-star. I think you guys should read it. And yeah, so let's move on. Next, we have My Year of Rest and Relaxation by Otessa Moshfegh, and I was explaining that I actually just finished that book the day of this recording, which is June 10th. I said one thing that of course, it's a YouTube darling for sure, and I'm just now entering the Otessa Moshfegh world, and I think I am a fan, to be quite honest with you. One thing that really popped out at me was how readable the book was. It was very engulfing. I didn't do anything but read that book. I read it in a few days, but I read the majority of it in one day, literally, like I read up into chapter 6 in one day. And when you get to chapter 6, there's 6, 7, and 8, and they're kind of short. So yeah, it's really awesome. So if you don't know, My Year of Rest and Relaxation follows an unnamed narrator who is quite literally depressed. It's never explicitly discussed that she's going through depression, but what she decides to do is find a therapist who will grant her all the prescriptions that she feels she needs to sleep, and she wants to sleep the year away in hopes that she will feel better the following year. There's a distinct writing style that I think turns people off from Otessa, and that is the fact that she is not afraid to write about the nasty, the ill the ill characteristics of being a human, being a person, the things that our body omits, such as phlegm on our tongue, or of course urine, or of course going to the restroom doing the number two, having bad breath when you wake up in the morning, being a bad person to your friends, depending on where you are in your life. Like Otessa explicitly discusses these things, and I think it's important. I think to have someone be able to solidify for others that I see you. Yes, this false this person in front of me is probably not completely false, but in all actuality, we all do these things at some point in our lives. At some point in your life, you are not the best person. There's a very rare amount of people who are, when they wake up in the morning, kind to the time that they fall asleep. You have unhappy thoughts sometimes that you think, and you burp and it stinks, or you fart and it stinks. And she writes that in detail explicitly, and that is something that I actually appreciate from her. And it's a good story nonetheless. I don't even want to talk about the plot that much. It's just really good. I enjoyed the writing, and I will read more of Otessa, but I'm not running to the stores to buy anything. But I just enjoyed it. The hype surrounding my year of rest and relaxation is very good. It's not giving meh. It's giving I understand, and I appreciate it for what it is. And I will read more. Next we have up Near to the Wild Heart by Clarice Lispector. I was expressing that I started this in February and I have not finished it. It's because it's extremely dense. I have about 70 pages left of it, but all in all, like, y'all see all those dog ears on the end, and literally every single page has an annotation, an underline, a thought, an idea on it, because what Clarice does is she makes you think. So I had a lot to say after I read a comment that I left under Elena Estelle's review about a month ago. So Elena Estelle reviewed this a month ago, and underneath I wrote, I absolutely love this book. The freedom she sometimes felt. This is a quote from the novel. The freedom she sometimes felt. It didn't come from clear reflections, but a state that seemed to be made of perceptions and too organic to be formulated as thoughts. That's page 35. And then this is my ideas. So literally every page had a gem of a sentence that I couldn't help to underline, sometimes the whole page. I feel the egg imagery and the submerging underwater is Joanna expressing that she maybe wants to be born again, to be made fresh and new. This life that she currently is leading isn't good enough. She wants out. She desires to be seen amongst individuals who can't see past flesh. Her imagination is so developed that to express even an ounce of the unseen to someone would make her feel, for lack of a better word, stupid. So what I mean by that is, y'all know what I mean by that. You can interpret that however you want to, but it's this idea that as a woman, we experience so many things. As a woman, we have to condense a lot of our ideas and a lot of our self inward to kind of make everyone else around us feel validated or feel good about themselves or feel whatever the case may be. And so a lot of the ideas that I took from Joanna's character in Near to the Wild Heart is that this woman is a wild beast that is trying to contain herself and live in this box to satisfy everybody around her, satisfy her father, satisfy her husband, satisfy her friends. And it's not easily done. Like, she can't hold it in anymore, and she needs to like break free. It's like, woman, thou art loose. And the reason why Clarice, like, she resonates with me so much is because I don't like to say things like what I'm about to say. Let me just preface that, but this is my truth and this is how I feel. But I'm a very thinky woman. I'm ahead of the game when it comes to a lot of ideas, and my greatest accomplishments have been performed in my mind, and I was able to make those things flow and come to fruition on my own. But I would love to be able to piggyback ideas off of other people, discuss my innermost deepest thoughts with others in hopes that they would understand me. But like Joanna, you know that that's a falsehood. Like Joanna, you know that you're going to be perceived in a way that's not becoming of you. And once people have a specific idea about your character, it's hard to break that narrative in their eyes or in their face. They're going to have that idea about you. And a lot of times it's because you kind of make people feel less than on accident because you're so smart, or because you're so attractive, or because you have innovative ideas. And it's not always your fault. So Joanna's character kind of gives me that vibe, and she kind of validates me as a woman. And that's why I'm going to continue to read Clarice. Now, this is somebody who I think I'm going to become a completionist of. I've never had the idea of completing any author's works, but Shel Silverstein. But I think that my next Clarice is going to be The Hour of the Star, so I can get a sense of her other writing styles and like how she talks about things, and just get another extra dose of that big brain energy. And yeah, validate myself some more. So if you want to be pushed beyond your limits of thought and extend your thought processes, I think that picking up a Clarice Lispector book is going to be important for changing the way that you think, or changing the way that you perceive. And that's it. She's amazing. So here we are talking about some audiobooks that I read. The first one is The Vegetarian. And with The Vegetarian, I didn't really like it that much. It's by Han Kang, and it was very weird. It was very weird. It was very weird. It's told in 3 parts, 3 vignettes. One perspective is her husband. The other perspective is her sister. And I forgot who the last perspective is from. But it follows a woman who abruptly decides to stop eating meat. And then subsequently all of the actions and reactions of others follows. And I found it very weird, very strange, and very odd. I didn't really like it, and I don't want to go back to it. And yeah, it's cool. I gave it 3 stars. And the next audio book that I read was The Seas by Samantha Hunt. And I loved the audio book because it was narrated by Samantha Hunt, and I thought that it was very good. It gave me the experience like I was watching a movie mixed with like a podcast. I wouldn't read it any other way. The Seas is about a 19-year-old girl. She's a dreamer. She thinks that she is a mermaid. Her dad gave her the idea that she's a mermaid, and so there's a lot of references to being a mermaid and how things are explained as to her obsession with this guy named Jude, who is older than her, who is a war veteran from the Iraq War, and he's a seaman, and he's also an alcoholic. And it just talks about her longing and her unrequited love for him, and how he also is a lost man who could never give her what she wants because of all of the issues that he's suffering with internally. And it's honestly a really good poignant tale of adolescence to adulthood, and like those dream like relationships that a Pisces, in my opinion, has. Like so many ideas that Samantha presents in The Seas is like that of a dreamy eyed Pisces woman who believes only in fairy tales. And subsequently this book takes a turn that's like whoa, off the deep end in a sense, but it's just so good and so well written. I listened to this book over and over and over again. I enjoyed the story very much, and this was definitely a good recommendation from Ignacia over at Literary Iggy. So I enjoyed it, and I think you guys should read it. All right. So let's talk DNFs. All right. So my first DNF is Kafka on the Shore. Right here it shows I stopped reading it at chapter 22. But what I would say is that I'm going to finish this book. It just was starting to become a little too overwhelming. Honestly, some parts of it scared me. I'm still interested in the story. I'm still constantly thinking about Nakata and Kafka, and I want to know how Murakami is going to sum this story up. I know exactly what's going on right now. I still remember it, but I haven't opened it up and read it since early April. So that's that with Kafka on the Shore. But the magical realism aspect of it is kind of throwing me off or whatever. And I don't know. It's out of my comfort zone. But I definitely want to finish it. So I will for sure. I'll probably start back reading it today, to be quite honest with you guys. Because I do want to know what happens. I really, really do. But yeah, I have not read it. I read 2 books instead of that book. So the next book is going to be 100 Years of Solitude by Gabriel Garcia Marquez. And I don't like this book. I want to finish it so bad that I ordered the audio book to read alongside it just to see if that would give me some more perspective. I stopped on page 161 and I honestly don't even care to finish it. To be a completionist would be amazing, but I'm sitting here literally telling you guys that I don't really care anymore. It's weighing me down. It's not a fun story. I don't like the sex scenes. I don't like the ideas of having ancestral relationships, because that was like a part of the times. And it's like he conveys them as being passionate and romantic, and it's like it's not. It's sickening. It's just not a good story to me. I'm so sorry, you guys. I just really don't like it at all. Here we have Jeff Vandermeer's The Southern Reach trilogy locked into one big book. It is comprised of Annihilation, Authority, and I don't know the last story. I'm sorry. But I'm reading Annihilation, and I directly tell you guys that I was completely influenced by Jess over at Sunbeam's Jess, because she rants and raves about Jeff Vandermeer, and this book is completely out of my comfort zone, but I do like it. I'm literally almost done with Annihilation, but what made me stop reading this novel was kind of the same thing as Kafka on the Shore. I started getting kind of scared, girl. It's kind of treading the little waters of being a thriller instead of a science fiction novel. So it follows these 4 characters. They're 4 girls, 4 women, and one's a psychologist, one's a biologist, a surveyor, and an anthropologist. And the biologist is narrating the story. She's narrating everything, and I like it a lot, honestly. It's scary though, and it's different, and that's the only reason why I put it down. I actually put this book down to read Sigrid Nunez's What Are You Going Through, and after that I read Gilead. So maybe I can go back to Kafka on the Shore and Annihilation and kind of finish those, maybe. I don't know, but I am going to complete them. I just have not done that yet. Not just yet. So that's everything. Oh, I do go into showing you guys that I am reading Boulder by Eva Balthazar right now, and I just started it today, so I don't have anything to talk about when it comes to that book. But thank you guys so much for watching. Thank you guys for listening to, if you made it to the end, listening to the voiceover, because I just was not about to reread this book. I wasn't going to do it. I just wasn't going to do it. But don't forget to comment and subscribe. Also subscribe to my vlogging channel. It'll be linked below, and I will see you guys in my next upload. Thank you so much for watching, and have a good day.